Welcome to the After Effects tutorial. We'll start by setting up our Illustrator file. So in this file you can see that I have every object as a separate layer, which will be really important once we take this file into After Effects. And you can also tell that my artboard size is the size of the file that I will want to use in After Effects. So then we'll open up After Effects and click New Composition. And here you can see I already kind of set it up so my dimensions are the same as my Illustrator file. We'll go ahead and just call this tutorial. The frame rate, you can set this to anything. I usually just use 30 seconds or 30 frames per second for doing these kind of animations, but you can kind of set it to whatever. And duration, you can change this later, but for now we'll just set it to 20 seconds. And so this is kind of what you'll have. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And then you'll drag and drop your Illustrator file into this bar over here. Import it as a composition. And so then you can see when I open this folder, I can see all of these layers. So then we'll drag these layers down here. And you can see they kind of got out of order from the order that were in Illustrator. So you'll just kind of drag these up. It's similar to the Photoshop layering system where what's on bottom is the farthest back and what's on the top is the farthest forward. I've adjusted my screen so we can see the composition better, as well as this area down here where we'll be learning how to use keyframes. So we'll start by locking the background layer so we don't accidentally move that around. And we'll turn off the blue star layer and learn how to do the basic transformations with the red star. So you'll click this little arrow by the box and we'll pull down the transformation menu. And we'll start with position. So position is where this object is located in the composition. So every time I move it, you can see the coordinates are changing next to position. We'll start in the bottom left corner and we'll hit this little stopwatch button. And then we'll say at 2 seconds we want the star to be across the screen. And so you can see it made a keyframe for the beginning and a keyframe for the second move. And we'll watch that. Now say you wanted the path to be a little bit more curved. So you'd go in between the two keyframes you just made and pull this path. You can kind of do it any way you want. And it'll make a new keyframe for that moment in time. So if you were to play it now, you'll see that the star follows this new path. If we were to think that that was a little too quick, then we'll just pull these keyframes apart. So we'll move this one to about 3.5 seconds and then put this one in about the middle. So now it moves a little bit slower. So that's one easy way to increase the length of your animations. And then with scale, it's the same thing. So you'll hit the little stopwatch button and then say at this point you wanted it to be half the scale that it originally was. So if you were to play that back, you can see it slowly starts to shrink. Halfway in between, maybe we want it to get a little bit bigger and then get smaller. So that's how you would do that. And then with rotation, you would do the same thing with the stopwatch, and then we'll say it's at 0-degree rotation here, and then at 4 seconds we want it to be turn 180 degrees. And then with opacity, you click the stopwatch, and then at 4 seconds we want it to disappear. So that's how you would combine all of those transformations. So we'll lock that, and then we'll turn that off again, and then we'll start animating the blue star. And so with the blue star, we can do, maybe we'll start it in the bottom right corner. And then at 3 seconds, we want it to be over here. One thing you can do is if you wanted a similar transformation from the red star, we'll say we wanted the scale to change the same way, you can copy these keyframes by just hitting, I'm on a Mac, so Command C, and you can paste those keyframes into this one, but it will paste it where the current time indicator is. So to move them back to the beginning, you would just drag them over where you wanted them. So if we were to watch them together now, that's what that would look like. So to export this animation, you'll want to go to File, Export, Add to Media Encoder Queue, and then we'll open up Media Encoder. And you can see I have my file here, the tutorial, and so to change the kind of video you want to export, you would just click on this drop-down menu, but I always do this kind of video, and you hit play. And depending on the length of the video and the amount of work you kind of put into it, it'll take longer or shorter, but this one should be pretty quick because it's only a 5-second animation. So up here it has my output file, it says status is done, so then you can click on this and then open up your video, and then that's your animation.